Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Brickrigs, and once again we're on the grid map, so I think you can probably all assume what I'm about to show you. If you haven't judged from the title already, this will of course be another diorama, and this will be a Fallout style diorama, and here it is. At first glance you might be thinking, why have you built a weird tunnely thing? And you're quite correct, it is a weird tunnely thing from the outside. Indeed, it looks a bit like a giant hangar or like a train hangar or something, and you're not too far off with the thought of train hangar, because this is the Fallout 3 Metro. This is a diorama which surprisingly didn't take that long to make. I had a bit of trouble actually getting the full shaping of it for the actual covering, you know, the actual what would be concrete in game, and making it look correct, and getting a good curvature on it, because it is a very curvature thing, the Fallout Metros, or at least the Fallout 3 Metros. And so yeah, this is what I've come up with finally, and I'm very happy with it. So this is the entranceway. Obviously you would have the walkway down. Spoilers, that's coming later in a different model. It will be like the biggest thing that I've made, or one of the biggest things actually, this new model with the Metro, but that's spoilers for later on in the future, because I haven't built it yet. Well, not completed it at least. But yes, so you'd obviously come this way from the above ground entrance way. You'd sort of come through all the ticket office, or indeed just a straight walk down, and you come to this, which is the main walkway into where the trains are. And you can kind of guess what the theme is going to be of of this diorama. And well, if you couldn't tell from the bloody spikes and the heads on sticks, this is a raider. This is a raider type outpost. So yeah, this is one of the stations which has been taken over by raiders. It's not based on any particular station. I just took a random image and recreated it of the in-game metro for this sort of walkway bit. But then after that, the train placement, the raider placement, all of the other bits and pieces are all just however I felt. So you walk through here. These are just loose, by the way. When you spawn this thing, these things just sort of plop onto the ground because you can't place them easily, so those are just loose on the ground. But these are attached to the walls, and so yeah, you walk in and you've got these spike trap sort of things. You've got what are meant to be lanterns. They don't actually light up much, which I'm sad about. These lanterns are only glow bricks, so I thought they would actually emit more light, but apparently not. But yeah, then you've got a head on a spike. You've got a protectron, one of the Metro protectrons that you give your subway ticket to. You know, because you can activate them via various terminals. So that's what that's meant to be. The Lone Wanderer, which you saw in the power armor, has wandered in and he's activated the protectron, because I always activated the protectrons for a little bit of extra defense. And then you've got your traditional heads on spikes to show that what you're coming into isn't nice. Then you come here, you've got the Lone Wanderer himself. You've got an iBot, a Enclave iBot, most no doubt, playing Enclave radio. You've got another head on a spike. You've got a skeleton left over from when the bombs actually hit. This is meant to be a suitcase, by the way. It's not that great, I understand, but it's the closest I could do, so that's what that's meant to be. And he's just got a Nuka-Cola with him, which he had until the bombs dropped. And then you've got the final walkway surrounding area, and then you've got the raiders, which we will come on to later. Yeah, I should really change those glow bricks to actually be lights. to be honest, but I'll do that later. So we come to the Lone Wanderer here. Because this is meant to be a Fallout 3 style build, I haven't gone with XO1 or T60. This is just bog standard T51 non-militarized version. This is the T51 that most people will probably go around with, if they don't have Operation Anchorage, or one of the many Fallout 3 mods which gives you different types of power armor. But yeah, so that's what this is meant to be, just the basic default power armor, T51. And this man, he's come well prepared. He's got his super sledge, and he has also got a rocket launcher strapped to his back there. So yeah, there's that. As you can see, here's the escalator, or the escalators, which have been blocked off by spikes. I forgot to add blood onto these bits, and that one down there. Although I think I purposely left that blank, but these bits don't have blood on them, which is what the red and dark red tips are meant to be. One is fresh blood, one is dried blood. That's the point of it. So there's that. So yeah, and then of course you've got the eyebot. You've got broken pieces through the guardrail here, which lead to ramps down, which you can get, which the raiders would use to get out of the subway. So you've got a ladder, which you just simply would walk down there. So yeah, you've got the ladder up to the walkway, which is how they would get to the surface, and then this way is how they would get out of their fortified compound area and further into the subway system to go to probably another station taken over by them as raiders. So yeah, and then this is the underground area, or well, under the walkway area. So yeah, we'll come back up the ramp and we'll head back down this way through the 2 more heads on spikes, and then we come to a defense, which is what this little bit's meant to be. So you've got a simple decayed wheel, which is then attached to some simple rusted steel barricades as basic bullet defense, and so you cause someone coming in from there, or indeed through one of the tunnels, would have a bit of a hard time if a raider was up here with like a minigun, say, spraying down that entranceway. But as it is, the raiders were lacking in this case, and they didn't manage to set up anyone here. But here we've got a couple of Nuka-Cola darks, which is what these are meant to be. These are Nuka-Cola darks, the alcoholic Nuka-Cola variant, and of course we've got a radio playing 3 dog. And then we've got another lantern. So, and then you can walk along the train and you come to where you just drop down either to the station, or you can just drop down and way onto the tracks, or take a running leap into one of the other tunnels. Oof. So yeah, there's that. As for this area has got a simple barricade, just a couple of heads on spikes, and some spike traps to stop anyone from trying to negotiate their way through this area, because there wasn't really enough room for me to do anything. So I was like, yeah, the raiders have just blocked it off, and I didn't think at the time. I just thought this place is pretty pointless otherwise, this ramp, so I just added a ladder. And then I realised, just sort of now-ish time, that by blocking off this area, I've actually made this thing functional. Then the raiders would use it to get over their barricade. So yeah, there's that. If you were coming from this direction of the subway, this is what you would find. Yeah, not very nice, lots of heads, and no real way of getting past unless you're able to squeeze your way through here, which you can't, as you can see. So yeah, there's that. You've got the decayed escalators right here, which have got some rust on them. Very nice escalators. I'm happy with how these escalators turned out. And then we come around. Let's just hop over the barricade here. You've got another steel barricade with a couple of spikes, another head on a spike, and you've got another lantern. And then you've got all of these spikes just across the train track and along this section of the station. Again, these things were loose when I plonked them down. This thing isn't though. This thing's attached. And then you've got another head on a spike, and you've got another lantern, and then we come to the main bulk of the raider force. And these raiders, I based them off of the Fallout 4 raiders, I have to say, because well, the power armors are based off of Fallout 4 power armors, at least model wise. So I was like, yeah, Fallout 4 raiders are probably going to be easier to make, so these are based off the Fallout 4 raider look alikes, and they've got their main little base, as it were, here, this little curve of rusted steel barricades with a wheel and some more spikes just for extra defense, and a couple of lanterns and a head on a stick. And then we've got main big guy, who would probably be the leader of this little raider gang, and he's got himself a flamer. This is the Fallout 3 version of the flamer on a Fallout 4 raider, so it's a bit of a weird thing, but there he is. So these raiders aren't actually too difficult to make. to be honest. It was getting the proportions correct, first of all, and getting the colour schemes right. But then after that, they're pretty easy to pose, actually. Brick rig people seem to be pretty easy to pose, at least the way that I've made them. They're pretty easy to pose, which is useful. So, yeah, this guy's got his flamer. He's got some metal armour, or some rusted radar armour. As you can see, various bits and pieces on his legs, his torso, and he's got a bit on his arms, as well as a metal helmet, which has just got a simple slit there to protect him from the fire, most likely. And then we've got these two, Bill and Bob, which have obviously seen the Lone Wanderer. This guy's pointing at him, saying, "Look there, bloody guy in power armor." This guy's like, "Yeah, we can take him." So yeah, they've got a variety of armor. I tried to make all of their armors different because raiders would not have a unified uniform, like the Brotherhood or the Enclave, or like, you know, the Minutemen or anything. They wouldn't have a set uniform. It's just stick metal to yourselves and call it a day. So yeah, they're all different. They're all unique, these raiders, and that's the nice thing about them. You can chop and change their armor because it really doesn't take very long. So the guy that's pointing, I've aligned his arm up to pretty much be pointing directly at the Lone Wanderer, and he's got himself a railway rifle, so he's a pretty dangerous guy to take out, and you can get yourself a good loot from him. There you go. And then he's got himself a little bit of a face mask with just a bit of rusted steel to protect his face, and then he's shouting, as you can just about make out from his expression there. Got the 0 there as his open mouth, and then this guy who's just got an evil smile. He shouldn't be smiling as much because he's only got himself a laser pistol, which is what this is meant to be. It's a thing that I made for the Nuka-Cola diorama, but I have now ported it over to a regular standard military, as it were, green, and that's just a laser pistol. So yeah, he shouldn't be smiling so much. Trying to take on him with that, it's not going to go very well. And then we've got this guy over here who's running with a laser rifle. None of these raiders should have these weapons, really. They shouldn't have a railway rifle. Well, they might have a railway rifle, but definitely not these laser pistols and these laser weapons. Raiders tend to not use them. I think they prefer bullet weapons because they're easier to come by and easier to manufacture bullets for. So they shouldn't really have these laser rifles, but in lieu of me not having bullet weapons, really, small bullet weapons like pipe rifles or anything, they're using laser rifles. And yeah, so this guy's just got a same sort of running animation as this guy. He's just I've just swapped the legs over, so yeah, to make him not so copy paste. And of course he's got a decent amount of armor on him. To be fair, he's got these things are meant to be like the sticky up spikes that the raiders have on their like shoulder guards and things. So he's got that. He's got some decent metal covering his feet and his legs. He's also got some on his torso, so he's pretty well protected, to be honest. He'll take a couple of swings of that super sledge to take this guy down, and of course he's running to back up his friends. I was going to say minions, but his comrades, his fellow raiders, with a laser rifle. And then we've got this guy who's already in a position to actually shoot, and I'm very happy with this guy. He's the first raider that I put down onto this set. And yeah, I'm very happy with how his laser rifle has turned out, and him standing here. I think he's in a very good position in terms of his model. He's also in a pretty good position in terms of fighting because you can only really see his top half and he can duck below the station. But Lone Wanderer has got the high ground, and a rocket from that guy, doesn't matter where you're standing, you're going to die. But yeah, so he's in a pretty good position. He's got a decent angle. And then we've just got a simple table. We've got another lantern. And then where should we go? Let's go into the big train cart first. So you can walk into these cars. I have got them fully enterable still, for the most part, so you can still enter into these in any which way. You can, of course, sit in the seats, as you can see. There you go. So you can sit in the metro seats. That's the driver's seat for spawning the vehicle, or in this case, the diorama. And so let's just go onto the station here. So you can enter from doors on the station, which is a nice little feature, and you don't actually fall through the gap. So mind the gap, but you can't fall through it. So there you go. You can also enter through the backs of the cars as well. So now we come to the main skeleton car, as it were, which just adds to the feel, it adds to the lore, as it were. So you've got this lady who's a new skeleton. This is a new skeleton which I designed for this diorama. And due to her wearing a skirt, this is meant to be the flowery skirt from Fallout 4. So because she's wearing a skirt, I can't really position her sitting like this man over here. So she is just sort of sprawled on the floor, dead. She's got a couple of sunset sarsaparillas, so she could have been visiting from the Mojave area with some sunset sarsaparillas, and she's also got a bottle of wine. So there's some that you can loot there. Coming over here, we got a quantum on the ground, which is very nice. We've got a new skeleton as well. This is a grey suit guy, as I've named him. So grey suit guy is sitting here. He's got a Nuka-Cola next to him, which he was probably using as a refreshment as he was on the way to work, because I believe the bombs hit at about 9 or something past 9, so this guy could have been late, or he could have been just commuting across DC, and then the bombs hit. So yeah, he died, and he's got his suitcase next to him, which is what that's meant to be. Suitcase, briefcase. It would go with his whole going to work theme with his grey suit and his hat, so probably briefcase. And then his Nuka-Cola, and then we've got this guy, which I have used before, so this is just a reused skeleton. He's just sitting there, very upset because he's dead, leaning up against the seat. And of course, as I said, you can walk through the train and get onto the platform, or from the rails onto the into the train. So these two bits are open. The raiders have put a piece of wood here just to help them navigate across the thing without having to jump every time. And then we come to another lady. This is well, red skirt, pink top lady, and she's just got a Nuka-Cola sitting on top of her. She's dead either way, and there's another 2 Nuka-Colas down here, so 3 more Nuka-Colas for you to loot. And then we come down here to where the raiders have just set up a little forward outpost, as it were. So you've got a Nuka-Cola Dark, and you've also got a couple of Nuka-Colas. And then we come to the skeletons at the back, and these are the most dense skeletons in this model. There's 3 of them. These are 3 military guys, probably on their way to a military base, or perhaps I don't know, they were suddenly called and they had to get somewhere, or they were securing the metro or something, but either way they are now dead here. So there's 3 of them in military fatigues, 1 sitting down, 1 is on the floor, and 1 of them is just leaning. These are again reused poses, but they're still very useful, and they just add to this feel down the end of the car because, well, the door is closed, so I couldn't do anything really with this area of the car. So you can pick up a minigun, so there you go, you've got a bit of loot down here, minigun and 2 Nuka-Cola Quantums. Yeah, you gotta get a whole load of Nuka-Cola Quantums in this diorama. You've got 3 in total so far. So yeah, that's the big train car, which has been rustified to make it feel 200 years old. So yeah, you've got all that. Bit more barricading. And now you come to the car which the raiders have decided to call home. So this doesn't have many seats. I've stripped out all the seats pretty much. There's 2 at the front here, but then that's about it. And this is basically where the raiders are sleeping, staying, cooking, etc. This portion of the subway. So you've got another lantern which just leads into the open doors, which have been which has just got a walkway of some wood, and then there is an alternative exit, but because of the heavy flamer, yeah, that's right, heavy flamer in the doorway, you can't actually get through here. But, well, who isn't going to loot a heavy flamer? It's a great weapon, and it also sells for a bunch of caps, I think, if you sell it to one of the traders around the Commonwealth, and or indeed the Wasteland. So yeah, just got a heavy flamer right here, just casually, for the raiders to pick up if they need it and use. And then we've got a lantern in here, and we've also got their bunk beds. So you've got 6 beds here for the 5 raiders there, but then we can assume that there are a couple of them off on a patrol or something, perhaps. So yeah, you've got various coloured beds and stuff, all sleeping rough on rough pieces of wood on top of cold metal, and they simply just sort of haul themselves up and flop onto the beds. So yeah, there's that, and then you've got plenty of looting opportunity here. You've got I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4 different containers here, which could all contain loot, caps, raw materials, weapons, Nuka-Cola, food, stems, or stims rather. You could find Jet or Psycho in there. Who knows? So yeah, this is where the real heart of it is. This is where the main looting heart of this part of the diorama is. And then we can cut back in here, and we can walk out onto the other side of the platform. So you sort of come this way through and around, which is very nice. I just love how this is all worked out. And then the raiders have got this basic barricade, which they can just about see over. You could probably just about shoot over it as well. And then more heads on spikes, because I realised that I have fallen down here. I realised that because this area was open, anyone could really walk through here. So I thought, well, they're raiders. They're not the smartest people in the Commonwealth or the Wasteland. Let's be honest. So they're just going to stick a couple of heads on spikes and be done with it. So there's that. And then we walk onto the other station, the other platform, the furthest one, and yeah, we come to this area. This has got a lovely cooking station. I'm very pleased with how this thing turned out. I knew when I was building it this was going to be a good little scene, and it's come out very nice as a cooking station. As you can see, you've got a little bit of fire on there. You've got some these are meant to be stones, so you've got some little 1x1 tiles, and I used actual studded tiles, not flat tiles, to make them feel a bit more rocky. And then you've got the main what is it, spit? Yeah, you've got the main spit here with a handle. So yeah, you would rotate around your, I don't know, rad rat or something, or if you're lucky, maybe a was it a rad deer or a rad stag? There you go, or a bit of rad stag on there. Roast that around, delicious. And so yeah, the raiders have just got a little thing set up here. You've got a couple of chairs. You've got some Nuka-Colas, a Nuka-Cola Dark as well. So you've got plenty of dark in this set as well. It's not a Lego set. This diorama, you've got a lot of dark Nuka-Cola to loot. And then you've got a lot more boxes as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think that is. So yeah, you've got 7 of them. That's yeah, that's good. So yeah, plenty of looting opportunity. 2 more Nuka-Cola Darks, and then we come to the big boy loot. A nearly complete suit of T45 armor. I thought, well, why not? Made a power armor stand. Not the best, but it works. It's functional as what you need it to be. It is a power armor stand. Looks well enough. And we've of course got our suit of T45. Now this suit of T45 is being raiderified. As you can see, I've added some spikes on it. There's some rusted armor on there. Just all over it. You've got some on the arm, you've got some on the leg, on the torso. There's no helmet. The helmet was obviously not salvaged by these raiders, so you have got a sort of half and half suit, a half standard T45 and half raider. So yeah, this is just a thing that's just common in Fallout 4. You find half-built suits of armor everywhere. So yeah, that's what this is meant to be. And that is pretty much it for the diorama as well. It's quite dark and grimy, which some people won't like. However, in Fallout 3, the metros are one of the darkest places to be, I think, because there's not really any lights around. No one's set up any lights either. So they're quite dark, they're quite spooky, especially if there's ghouls around, because there's just no sound other than the weird moaning of ghouls. And yeah, some people won't like this because it's dark and grimy. However, I think that just adds to the feel. You can, of course, turn on the lights of the train to add a little bit of light. However, some of them flash, some of them don't work. Yeah, they don't really add that much light, but it's something that you can add. And because I didn't want it all to lag, I changed the lights up here as well. So no interior lights for the trains, but that's what the lanterns were meant to be for, but I'll have to experiment with them. But yeah, so that is it. This is my newest diorama, one which I'm very happy with. I think it captures the metro of Fallout 3 quite well, if I do say so myself. Here you go, here's a good position. You can see everything pretty much. And yeah, I think it's come out rather well. let me know what you think. You can subscribe to it on the Steam Workshop if you like it, alongside pretty much all these things. These are all my own assets. I haven't used anyone else's assets for these. I have made every single thing here and ported it in or made it on site to make this diorama, and I'm having fun with making these Fallout dioramas. They're quite fun to make, just seeing what you can make and what you can come up with. So yes, this is the Metro diorama. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.